Yes, thank you. Yeah, welcome you, my fellow brethren, my fellow pastors, to Strategy 36, huh? Mm-hmm. Yes. Before I talk much, I'm a short guy, but I can talk all the night. So allow me to welcome my fellow brethren, my young brother, Fred Peterson Champoy. My brother.
Well, guys, it's been 3 years since we met with you last. And so much has changed. The first thing we noticed when we pulled in, the chapel has got windows. You have tables and chairs. You don't have to sit on the floor almost.
We might have get rid of the tables. The last time when we did worship, they were all over.
I know.
It's a little different with these tables now. I don't know.
But aside from physical differences on this campus, we've all experienced change because of the worldwide pandemic. We've had to shift how we do ministry. We had to do things that we didn't know if we could even do. But God. But God. And so we give Him praise tonight. And we are excited about being here. And I can't speak for my brothers, Eugene and Robert, but I think we're like-minded enough. I can tell you, just hearing your worship, convicts me.
Amen. Yeah.
I feel as though, first of all, I want you to know I'm your equal. I'm not above you. I'm just a guy from America who Jesus saved and called to ministry. You are men from Zimbabwe who Jesus saved and called to ministry. And we're here to do iron sharpening iron. We're here to help you. But I think I could sit in those chairs this week and you could teach me as much, if not more, than I'm going to teach you. And these guys are going to teach you this week. But I want to thank you for being available this week and taking time to be here. I don't know what all we're going to share this week. I mean, we've got things written down, we've got notes, we've got things to give you. I don't know what all we're going to do this week, but here's what I want to look at. I don't know what y'all are going to share. Y'all know what y'all are going to share? Okay. I don't want to give a sermon here, but I want to kind of set the tone for this week. We like to ask questions, don't we? In general, questions are a good thing. Want to find out information, we ask a question. My parents and their parents probably all said this. I don't know if y'all have heard this saying, but there's never a dumb question. I've heard some that were really close, but there's never a dumb question. And so we use questions to get answers. God asks questions too. Think about way back in Genesis, when Adam and Eve sinned. What did God ask? Why are you hiding? When Achan sinned and took the accursed things from the battle of Jericho in Joshua chapter 6, and then they went to try to take the city of Ai and failed miserably because there was sin in the camp, and Joshua fell prostrate before the Lord in mourning, and God said, "Why are you on the ground?" God asked Job, who told the sea they could only come so far. Jesus asked Mary Martha, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, yet shall he live. And he who lives," I get my words mixed up. "But he who dies and does not," how's it go? I'm sorry. He asked the question at the end of that statement, though. He said, do you believe this? When he asked the disciples, who do men say that I am? Some say Elijah. Some say John the Baptist. And then Jesus heard it and said, no, who do you say that I am? Jesus asks questions not for admission. Jesus asks questions for confession. He asks us questions in order to get us to understand where we are in relationship to Him and where we ought to be. And in his probing questions, he doesn't ask them because he doesn't know. He asks them a lot of times because we don't know. And he shines the light of the gospel. He shines the light of his truth because he is truth. He shines the light of his word, and the Holy Spirit cuts into our heart and reveals our need. So in John chapter 1, Jesus is calling the first disciples. Let me just read a few verses. Chapter 1, verse 35. Again, the next day, John stood with two of his disciples, and looking at Jesus as he walked and said, behold, the Lamb of God. The two disciples heard him speak, and they followed Jesus. Then Jesus turned, and seeing them following, said to them, what do you seek? In my own way that I would translate those words, not to translate it different, but the way I read that, if I were saying that what Jesus said, I would have said this, what do you want? And I want to ask you men this week, I'm not questioning your love for Jesus. I absolutely believe you love Jesus. I absolutely believe that you are saved, although there might be somebody in here this week that discovers they're not. And it would be a great week if that person or persons got saved. But that's not what I'm talking about. I want to ask you this week, as if God himself were asking you this question, what do you want from this week? What do you want? We have no idea what you guys are walking through with your churches. What battles you're facing. What victories you've had. What defeats you've had. Gains and losses. All those things. We don't know, and we're going to try to help you as much as we can. And we're going to work together to that end this week. But before we even start, we need to ask the question, what do you want? Not just in general, what do you want from God? There's two answers to that, I think. First answer is this. Well, God, whatever you want. That's the lazy way out, isn't it? Well, God, I don't really want to think about it too much, because if I think about it too much, it's going to require much of me. And so, God, I just whatever. It's okay. I'm good with whatever. Are you really good with just whatever? Because God's not going to just give you whatever. He's going to give you his best. And it will require something of you. The second answer, remember the first answer? Lord, whatever you want. The second correct, the other answer you can give is this. Lord, whatever you want me to have. Same words. Lord, whatever you want. Lord, whatever you want. That's what I want. Different meaning, right? Different emphasis. One is kind of lazy. Lord, just bless me. I'm just here, and if I get the blessing, great. If I don't, great. The other is, Lord, I really, beyond anything else, I want what you want me to have the most. You think about the Apostle Paul. He had reached the pinnacle of his religion. A Hebrew of the Hebrews, he said. Pharisee of the Pharisees, of the eighth day circumcised. He went through the whole of the law perfect, blameless is what he said. And he reached the heights. And then what happened? He had the Damascus Road experience. Jesus radically saved him. And what does he say there about his salvation now? He says, everything I've gained up to this point is now done. The Greek translation is bodily excrement. That's what it's worth to him. He said, compared to the riches of Christ, what I had, which were all the things the world would offer, Jesus, I want what you have, and what you gave me is much greater than that, and that, all those accolades are worthless to me now. So I ask you again, tonight, as we will come back in the morning and begin diving into God's Word, asking questions, answering questions, worshiping, all those things, what do you want for this week? Take that as a request from Jesus himself. Take that as an invitation from Jesus to think tonight. What do you want? I need to think about that. I've already been praying. Lord, I know where I am and I know what I need. I think I know what I need. And sometimes that answer is a little scary, isn't it? Or I think I know what I need, but I'm a little bit afraid of getting it. But it's what I need. And so I'm hoping that God answers my prayer of what I think I need. And really, I hope He answers my prayer with what He knows I need, not what I think I need. People are getting in touch with me. Texts are coming through. So I ask you that question tonight. What do you want? We're going to have a lot of fun this week. I can't believe I'm finally back. I hate that it took 3 years. I see your pictures all the time. We have a banner in our association office. I see it weekly.
I got one hanging up in our church.
Yeah. We see those pictures weekly. We think of you often. I think of this place often. It's a home away from home for me. And I'm excited about being here. And we just want to help you. Don't be afraid to ask us a question. If we don't know the answer, we'll try to find the answer. If we can't find the answer, White will have the answer. But we want to help you. That's why we come. We don't come as experts. We have failures in our ministry. We have struggles in our ministry, things we can't figure out. But that's what all this, that's what the church body is for, that we come together to support each other, iron sharpening iron, to help us encourage each other as we see all the more the day of the Lord approaching. So guys, my prayer for you is that you will get what God wants you to have this week, and not just what you want to have this week. Eugene or Robert. I said or.
I just want to go a little deeper into what Brett was talking about. And he started out with the statement, but God, right? And so for us to be able to say, but God, that's a big statement, right? Because we can say we trust God, all we want to say we trust God. But when things truly happen, when our feet are put to the fire, how often do we truly just in our heart say, but God? See, that's an unusual trust to, no matter what's happening in our life, we say, but He's taking care of it. Or even to have the same attitude as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? When Nebuchadnezzar said that if you don't bow to this statue, then I'm throwing you in the furnace of fire, right? And what did they say? Even if. He said, our God can save us. But even if He doesn't, we're not bowing to your statue. Right? And that's a faith that is beyond us mustering up of our own. And when I think about that trust, and I think about that true relationship with Jesus, and to have that kind of relationship with God, that when we're here this week, and this whole week, God's just been saying, it's not about learning. And I hope y'all don't take it as y'all come in here just to learn something, right? Because you can learn something in school. You can learn something over the internet. You can learn stuff in all kind of places. But I pray that this week, that as we're together, that we all get a higher view of who God is. We get a higher understanding of who He is, and because we get a higher understanding of who God is, then it furthers our personal relationships with Jesus. Because when we have a high view of God, and our personal relationship with God furthers we can say, but God. No matter what happened, right? We think about these, like my brother said, we hate that it took us this long to get back. And we played on it before, and flights got canceled, they wouldn't redo them, all kind of stuff. Because of COVID and all these things. And there's been a couple years and there's a whole lot of things been happening, and it's been hard to say, but God. Because we've had people, loved ones lose their life because of things. We've had all these things happening, and it's hard to get there. But when we get an awe, the true fear of God, right? The Bible said that we should fear God. And when the Bible's talking about fearing God, it's not saying I'm scared of God. That word fear means awe. It's like, and I can't relate with you guys, but I know with my father, I love that man. And he wasn't perfect. I'll be honest with you, he was an alcoholic. He broke that. But I love that man. And a lot of what I did or didn't do was because of the respect and awe I had for him. And I think that when we truly have the right fear and awe and respect of God, it changes our lives in a way that we won't understand. It's a transformation that happens in our life. And just because we are pastors doesn't mean we don't have growing in our own personal relationship that we need to do. I would say because we are pastors, that we should be growing deeper in our own relationship. You know what the old saying says, that you can't take somebody where you've never been. Right? You understand that? If you've never been there, you can't take them. And sometimes even as pastors, we're getting mad at those that's within our congregation because they're not furthering, but what are we doing? So I pray that this week is not just a time of learning, but a time of transformation within your lives and within our lives. Because it's not just about y'all. God does work in us too. And as we was here last time, I know God did work in my life. And Brett would say God did work in his life. And so I pray that as we're here this week, that there'll be a transformation that happens here. That nobody can explain. The only thing they can say is, what? But God. I pray that that's the kind of meeting we have, that God moves in a way and transforms lives in a way as we look at our own personal relationship. And that's something that I will be speaking to you about, is us as pastors and how we go deeper, okay? And because the Lord kind of changed what we were talking about doing in my life. But so I pray that y'all see this week that way, that it's not just like a school. But this is a place that I came, that I want God to do something in my life. Okay? Yeah. Brother? Yeah.
Brother Brett and I was talking not long ago about how they were getting put off, and how things were happening, and this was happening and that was happening, but he said the perfect thing, and I think maybe he forgot what he said, that everything that Satan is terrified of, he puts a stop to. But God, he comes along and he says, no, it's time. It's time for them to come here. There was a reason why we didn't come. It's because it was meant for tonight. It was meant for this week. And brother said, that proverb, as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. We are friends. We are brothers in the Lord, and we are to sharpen one another. Y'all have a wonderful fellowship here when we're not here, that you can draw off of one another. Y'all have a deep well. Yeah. A deep well. And I'm going to tell you something. The deeper it is, the fresher the water is. And that's what we want to do this week. We want to dip into that well. We want y'all to dip, like he said, dip in us. Ask questions. You know, if we don't know, if I don't know it, I know he does. Okay? I know, brother, you ain't got the answer. But the thing is, we want to see you empowered with the Holy Spirit so that your churches grow and grow and grow. Okay? And then what you do is you pick more people out. You pick out some deacons, you pick out some bishops, you pick out some pastors, and you bring them along. And that's what it's all about in the kingdom of God. It's not about just getting in a comfortable place and sitting down. It's about building. It's about building the kingdom of God. And that's what we want to do. That's what we're here for. We're not here to just look and say, boy, that looks good. I'm not going to put no more paint on that house. You know good and well when it gets done, you're going to get out that bucket. And you're going to slap another coat on. That's what we do. We build the kingdom of God. Never get comfortable. Never get to a place where it's okay. Where it's good. Or it's just mediocre. Work it. And work it hard. That's what you need to do. And that's what we want to do. We want to work with you. Because we're kingdom builders. You're kingdom builders. We are, like Brother Brett said, we're equals. And we are all going to build kingdom together. The kingdom of the Almighty God. Build it there. And then, look here. When we build it there, the Bible tells us, thieves can't break in, it won't rust, and moths can't destroy it. I'm here this week to be a kingdom builder with you brothers. And that's all I got to say for tonight. God bless y'all.